I've going here. Oh, I got a few things.
Hey, we're live here on Facebook or YouTube.
We're live on YouTube.
Yeah. Hey, good morning.
Hi,
This is
YouTube.
Henry McClure live. I'm going to go live here on Facebook. I'm in the Glass Houses studio here with Marshall Barber
Who is also getting ready
to go live.
on Facebook.
And we're going to turn this camera a little bit.
Okay. Hi, camera. Hello, Walls.
Man, you almost sound like Johnny Cash.
No, it's Fair and Young.
All right, fair and young.
Willie Nelson was a struggling songwriter around 1960, and he sold a song to Fair and Young called "Hello, Walls."
Hello, Walls.
And it became a big hit.
Hey, did I tell you I got
before
it?
anyone had heard of Willie Nelson, and now we have a vice presidential candidate, Tim Walz. I mean, that is it obvious only to me that should be his theme song?
I'm not going to talk about Tim.
Hello, Walz.
Hello, Walls. Is that his theme? Is it?
What?
Is that his theme song?
I'm saying, why shouldn't it be?
I thought it'd be Burn Baby Burn.
That'd be a good one.
Henry McClure live here on Facebook in
Marshall
the Glass
Barber.
Houses studio with Marshall, the White Hat Barber. And this segment of the Topeka Factor, we're gonna get our political word vomit out during this segment, and then we're going to go live again and talk real estate. But we're going to convolute the two right now by talking about delinquent taxes. So you tell me the difference in dining and dashing and not paying your taxes.
A pretty good place to start. By the way, this is Facebook Live. Your humble correspondent, Marshall Barber, with the inestimable Henry McClure.
I love that word, inestimable.
In the Glass House studio.
Glass houses, baby.
Glass houses. So today's topics on the Topeka Factor will be, first of all, real estate, with a little tangent on unpaid property taxes. And after that,
well, so here's the
we'll have another segment.
We're going to talk real estate,
in which we're going to talk politics.
Right? No, this is the politics.
Oh, this is the political. Okay.
Yeah, this is. Can we do that?
Yeah. Okay. This is the political segment. So, since this is the political segment, we'll go ahead and give our condolences to our good friend Brett Blackburn.
Oh man!
Too bad he didn't make it.
He tried. You know, he was up against so much money of Go Topeka and the chamber.
Well, I noticed, you know, I'm not particularly paranoid, but when I ride my bike on the Shawnee County Dam, I look down at this vacant lot adjacent to the shack over there on 29th Street.
And it has Cook.
This guy had signs up for Cook and Mays.
Yeah.
So these are two guys from
well,
two
that brings
parties.
That brings up a good thing. Right now, shouldn't Bill Rapon endorse me?
Well, why not?
He's a Republican.
You would think.
He says he is.
Okay.
Hey, if you know Bill Rapon, or Ripon.
He's a self.
I like Rapon better. It looks.
Yeah.
It's just the way I want to say it. But look, if you know him, ask him if he's going to endorse Henry McClure because he's a Republican.
Well, has he been asked?
Well, he wouldn't. Okay, I'll ask it. We ought to call him up.
Oh, I don't think it'd be. Yeah.
Why not?
Facebook Live from the Glass Houses studio, talking politics with.
Who do you got on your live channel?
Want to say hi to
I got
Jenny.
somebody. I got one person watching.
I can't always tell who's watching. If
I can't tell now too.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, whoever's watching on Facebook, and we're live.
Facebook Live. This is the
now. This might be the worst time to grow a beard, but my daughter wanted me to. She goes, "Dad, bring back the beard."
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, a friend of mine who's is going to be remain nameless says that the approach of having people pay their taxes is one of the best things that I've said. creating the even playing field.
Let's repeat that question about dine and dash. Or
Well,
how did you say that?
what's the difference in not paying your taxes and dining and dashing?
We're talking property taxes.
Yeah. I mean, we use the property taxes. So if everybody pays their property taxes and we've got more money in the coffers, the easier it is to run the business.
I'm wondering if anybody has totaled up the total amount due. I'm going to hold this up for the camera here. We have,
Well, how many pages is that in the Metro News?
how many pages? Let's see. It is 22 pages worth of unpaid property taxes.
Wow.
Let's just flip this around so I can.
But one of the
So I can show it
guys in there has what you said 26 properties,
There was one with 30.
30. But
That's
is it
34
also the same one on Fairlawn Road?
That's 3420 Southwest Fairlawn LLC.
And see what I want to make
And
it.
they're all about 3,500. So that's well over 100 grand.
We should make it to where if you're delinquent on anything in the LLC, you can foreclose on them all
That's
simultaneously.
Wow. Then that's bad news for whoever owns 911 North Kansas, because they owe $203,997.60.
911 North Kansas Avenue.
Yeah. I can't believe that.
Oh man.
I can't believe that property accumulated.
What's the name of the LLC? That's where I got my coffee today.
That's the name of the LLC, 911 North Kansas.
Oh,
LLC.
North Kansas.
Yeah. You're thinking of 911 South Kansas.
Oh yeah. I'm
Julie's.
glad. Yeah, I'm glad it's not.
No, Julie's, I stopped in there yesterday. They're doing fine, I believe, for my twice weekly breakfast. Okay, so we have 20.
Actually, I think that is a LLC that also has the demolition on it.
That might be
the building.
Yeah, because the picture, if you look it up on the county website, the picture is a vacant lot.
Yeah, and I think that guy, those two owners, have agreed to donate that lot to Agape Village,
Okay.
which is a not-for-profit for veterans. And Agape is willing to, if we can get the demolition part of it away, we'd like to do a retail space for veterans and create housing. And the housing component would really be first come, first serve.
Well, so if it's donated to a nonprofit, what happens to the back property taxes?
Oh, but also too, Agape Village has made a pledge to pay taxes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
To keep their properties on the tax rolls.
Oh, let's say hi to Deb.
Which
Deb
Deb?
Goodridge.
Oh, the one that's not giving me White Plume's information, and so I can work on the Curtis house.
They just named a hurricane after her.
The Kaw Indians. Oh, she is a little
The
hurricane.
hurricane's doing pretty good. So
her mind is a huge hurricane. It's a volume 5,
Cat 5.
Cat 5.
Category
When you
5.
go to her brain, what a smart woman.
She ain't no cat lady.
I will admit, I do have a crush on her. She's cool.
Yeah.
She's smart.
Well, she's like.
Remember my theory, what my dad said.
Yeah.
And we're not going to quote that on
Things
here.
Dad said. Hey, well, for the benefit of anyone just dialing in on Facebook Live,
this is the Topeka Factor.
It's the Topeka Factor, and we're talking about Shawnee County delinquent property taxes. The Metro News, your local newspaper, which actually gets deep into local issues sometimes. Here's one that's near and dear to you, Henry. Want to say hi to Ed and Bill. And once again, we are talking some politics. We're talking
Ed and Bill.
Ed Carmona.
Hi, Ed. How you doing?
Bill Vickery.
Yeah, I like Bill.
But here's
he's a big historian.
Now this one might. I hope this one isn't like ripping the scab off the wound for you, Henry. But among these Shawnee County delinquent property taxes, we have a project that you were instrumental in getting started.
College Hill.
Yep.
So that was a real loser for me.
Check this out. The current owner of College Hill Apartments LLC, they have not paid $208,993 plus $84,702 plus $49,376. So there you've got over 300 grand in unpaid property taxes.
Well, and from what I understand, the city won't give him any more shelter plus care people.
Because
He doesn't operate them appropriately.
well,
And I'm telling you, if
did
the
you
city,
say, did you say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
if the city would have recorded the development agreement and the TIF agreement, in that original agreement, there was a clause where the city had final approval to kiss the deal. And all the city had to do is say, hey, Lou, we love you, buddy. We're going to let you buy the apartment, but you've got to bring every one of your other properties up to code. You know, you've got to have some sort of code compliance before you qualify, because he had a bunch of crummy other properties.
Right.
And so, okay, you bring those all up to code, and then you qualify to buy College Hill.
And get shelter plus.
Yeah. Well, no, you just
These are-
qualify. This goes back to the day we sold it.
This is two separate issues.
Yeah, after the Big Short, after the housing bubble popped,
Post 2000.
yeah, we had to recollateralize our loan. I had done business with people that were strong enough to borrow 100%. Before Dodd-Frank, I could go out and buy a property and borrow 100% because it would cash flow and usually put money in my pocket. I was, hey, it kind of sounds funny. When you're broke, go buy a property. But good real estate guys know how to make money.
Write that down, everybody. One rule of real estate.
Well, Dodd-Frank took that away
When you're
because
broke.
then you had to collateralize.
Yeah.
Now 20%.
Okay. So anyway, we have actually, if you go through this list,
You know, sometimes I get in the weeds
So-
because it's so, every deal is so
With-
complicated.
so with regard to College Hill and Lou McGinnis, and by the way, Lou McGinnis, for the benefit of anybody watching who does not know who Lou McGinnis is, he's a somewhat notorious, shall we say, investor who's acquired numerous properties, myriads of properties. In fact, he single-handedly has completely turned the multifamily market upside down. I don't know if he's still buying properties, but those he has bought, one of which is over there by Huntoon and Fairlawn, ended up on the front page of the paper because this hapless mother of three living on the second floor had no central air and had been trying for weeks to get central air, and nothing was happening.
So the
So
only
you're saying
reason
he can't get shelter plus, and is this
when the only reason I brought up some sort of landlord regulation, which everybody thought that was like a turd in the punch bowl. Well, I'm serious. Like,
well, we should get back to that in a minute.
okay, but
But
and then I thought,
let's
you know, I'm
talk about-
always thinking about how to make money. So why not do a private list? And we could also just privately list Lou McGinnis as a bad apple. You know, hey, on the Henry McClure rating, he gets no stars, but people could pay, you know, turn it into a capitalistic thing. Okay. Government shouldn't run it. Okay. Then you pay to be on my website with 5 stars. You buy your stars. Hey, and if you don't owe taxes, you haven't had,
complaints.
yeah, but kind of the Yelp of,
No,
and maybe this, and here, and I will tell you something. You know why this is all new to me? Because I've just stayed out of that business my whole life. I had such a bad,
staying out of the landlord business.
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
and developing housing.
Okay.
I've just stuck to retail and other developments.
You know, everybody talks these days about, well, we need more housing for, you know, low income people.
Well, yeah, so
And-
then let's redo how we do benefit districts in this community.
And how was it that he lost his shelter plus clients?
Well, because now the
Who
city,
enforces that?
well, the city, the Shelter Plus Care people are saying, you know something, we don't want to. You don't qualify anymore. You've been a bad boy, Lou. What are you looking at over there?
I'm trying to see. There we go. That screen is what?
That's YouTube.
That's YouTube. Okay.
This is my Facebook.
And I'm on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
By the way, this is Facebook Live, Topeka Factor, talking to the inestimable Henry
Hey.
McClure. And we have two different segments for you today.
Okay, so let's.
The
Do you want to
political
talk
segment.
about the election?
Well,
Are we still on this?
we could talk about the election.
No, here, before
it
we
makes
tie a
me-
bow on this, so what is government's role then in housing?
Well, that's the question. And did you see the news item about Timberley apartments?
The ones that are funded 99% by the federal government.
Timberley,
Yeah.
formerly Ripley Park Apartments.
Okay, so there it sounds like
Want to
it's
say hi to Mary.
bad
Lindgren Hiles.
management.
Huh?
Who?
Oh, one of my friends up there. Speaking of management, Northern Sky Townhomes, which I'm actually the manager of.
Yes.
One of my residents just tuned in, Mary.
Hello, Mary. We're
and,
glad to have you on the show.
Up there at Northern Sky, we do, what's the word for twice a year? Biannual, semi-annual?
Biannual.
We do
Two is bi.
we do twice a year.
That's semi.
Yeah, heating and air checks.
It depends
We say
if you're a
about-
liberal or conservative. A conservative would say it's semi-annual. A liberal would say it's biannual.
Biannual, yeah, okay. That's a good one, Henry. All right.
Henry McClure live.
But I just
I'll be
wanna
here all
say,
week. Try the meal.
from a management standpoint, it makes more sense to have all your HVAC checked twice a year, once for the heat and then in the spring for cooling. And
Well, in
watch
my
it-
commercial leases, we require the tenants to have a quarterly.
and
That's
then-
4.
And then, okay,
And
That's
so,
fine.
yeah, have them maintained quarterly. And
but
The
apparently
requirements-
this is not being done.
the requirements that you put on tenants is all based on the strength at the time of the lease and the market. So
Right.
in a hot market, you know, it's more landlord oriented. In a weak market, it's more tenant oriented.
This article about Timberley, it got so bad, the city, that this is a question that I had. It seems like there's at least 2 different city entities which get involved in property code enforcement. You've got code enforcement with the city of Topeka, but the Topeka Police has a unit,
Well, they are code enforcement.
which was actually relocating about 18 tenants because the conditions over there were so deplorable.
Well, that letter that you might want to address, that was also methane gas issues.
Oh, in the dirty South?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, you could blame the young lady for not hiring a realtor, because I'm telling you, as far as economic development goes, I think the real estate industry, that's why I want to get Go Topeka and the chamber out of the real estate business.
Okay.
I want to have every licensed realtor be the economic development arm of Topeka.
Works for me
Why not?
as a licensed realtor. Let me just say, let me go on record as saying, works for me.
You know,
And I
there's
wanna
always,
say hi to-
I
wanna
will
hi
say
to
that
Joe down there in Florida.
Doug Bassett has always been a voice of reason when it comes to deal making.
Yeah.
And he goes, Henry, why don't you just say what it is? Let's just enforce the laws on the books.
Wanna
Let's
say hi to
start-
Wally.
Hello,
Speaking-
Wally.
Hello, Wally.
Hello, Wally.
As opposed to hello, Walls. Yeah.
Hello,
Um,
Wally. Crocodile Dundee.
Well, we have.
Let's enforce the laws that are on the book, and let's enforce them equally. Hey, if there's a policy that says you're supposed to collect taxes on or foreclose every 2 years on vacant lots, just do it.
Well, and what's interesting too about this list, and we are in the political section of the Topeka Factor, and we've been talking about delinquent property taxes. Among
But
other
what
things.
part of development is not political?
What's interesting,
And that's why I wanted to run for county commissioner, because the system's broken. They've tied my hands and my ability to make a living in this community because they don't have a one size fits all standard for who's who at the zoo.
Well,
There's not an even playing field in this market.
and if you look at who's who in unpaid property taxes, it's interesting to me
That puts a burden on the rest of us that pay our way.
you have, I'd say 99% of these are individuals who, let's just show this page at random and try to keep the identity out of it. $1,909, $415. The individual amounts, these are obviously people.
I'm not saying I've never been late on a bill because this is the Glass House Studio.
Well, these
I
are
mean, go back and look at all the press that we got over College Hill and owing money.
As a real estate agent, I run into this all the time at closing where we might have a few thousand in unpaid taxes or a few hundred in unpaid property taxes. But look at this, Henry.
I'll never forget when my divorce lawyer said, now sit down and this is what you got to start paying monthly.
Starting on page 10, you have Kansas Montara LLC.
So we don't mind calling out Lou McGinnis.
Is that who owns Montara now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. You got page 11. You have page 12.
Even if the landlord registry is don't lease from Lou McGinnis, we better start creating opportunities where people can get away from Lou McGinnis.
So each individual house over here seems to just be about a little over $1,000. So maybe those are getting paid as they go along and they're just a little behind. But still,
hey, that can happen to the best of citizens.
You notice, okay, here's Clayton Real Estate LLC.
Yeah, what's he owe?
Which has 3143, about 70 with several different parcels.
Now, Clayton LLC, I don't know who owns it, but I do know their mail goes to the same place where Midwest Health is. And I think Jim Klossman actually has some sort of involvement with Midwest Health.
Okay.
And I've been to his offices. I used to actually get invited, but I don't know if I'm welcome there.
Speaking of health.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Let me point out the biggest one here. This is not real estate developer related or landlord related. This is medical related. Remember when everybody got all excited about this shiny new ER facility out there by Westridge?
You mean right across from the
Chick-fil-A?
No.
On Wanamaker.
Oh,
and
okay. Well, there's also a medical one on the north side of the mall.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Okay, that's not Okay, yeah, okay, I know where you're talking about.
So
right across from remember the ice cream shop, and then it's been a lot of things.
They even had a Bobo's over there.
Yeah, speaking of Doug Bassett, he and I stood there with Bill Fyander, and we asked for some improvements to be made to where, and I think it was for Topeka Pizza. So you could.
Sure, I remember Topeka Pizza as well.
So you could as you're coming up right, you could get right onto the property because there's plenty of elbow room on that real estate. And they denied it, said no. Oh, it was that Doug Gerber who's made himself famous remember Doug Gerber, the assistant city manager?
I do not. Sorry.
Well, recently he got fired in Shawnee as the city manager for sending tapes of himself masturbating to some of his people that worked for him.
Well, hello, Walls.
It's like my golf game, you know. Hey, it's not as fun for you to watch as me to play.
I'm like a character in a Willie Nelson song, just lying here, staring at the ceiling, and pretty soon nature takes its course.
Oh, man.
Let's get back to this medical facility.
Speaking of not paying your bills on time.
Of all the delinquent taxpayers, if you ask the question, okay, who owes the most? Well, over here on page 14.
Well, you could take Clayton Properties.
You've got
and let's say that one fella might have owned a bunch of those properties in there.
Well, you got Mills Building LLC. This is interesting.
The Mills Building, that's a state agency.
Bill Pelletier, $228,909. And that's been leased to the state. So here's
The ethics is in there.
So here's a guy who's leasing to the government, but is he paying his property taxes? No.
I mean, think about that. The government should stop paying the rent.
That reminds me, you remember?
Well, and that's what
my old friend.
That's what Vic Miller did to Lindemuth about the remember the White Lakes where you could get your license out there and get your tags.
Right.
So I think Larry Wilson was the treasurer at the time.
Yeah, you had the county extension office.
Yeah, and Vic told him to shut it down. And Larry played treasurer. He said, well, I don't really answer to you. And Vic, actually, I really liked his idea. Well, we're not going to rent from a guy that doesn't pay his taxes.
That's real good policy.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, anyway, I found one thing that Vic and I agree on. Well, I just found one.
Maybe he'll come to work in your campaign.
No, he won't even.
He's got some free time on his hands now.
I don't think he likes me.
Let's get back to MedStar Topeka Micro Hospital.
Hey, Vic, all's forgiven.
Everybody, this place specifically opens up.
Never kick a guy when he's down.
This place opens up for private pay patients. In other words, they're going to shuttle off all the Medicare, Medicaid, people who can't.
No, hang on. We ought to go back to the Mills building.
To people who can't pay. So they skim the cream off of the medical business and take all the wealthy people who can do private pay when they need ER care. And guess what they do? Well, or more appropriately, guess what they don't do? While they're skimming the cream off the medical business, they're not paying their property taxes. $302,133.74, and that is the highest amount of unpaid property taxes of all of the delinquent property tax owners in Shawnee County.
Okay, so do we just, instead of fronting all the services to these people, all these deadbeats, why don't we, you got to sign up an ACH and start paying monthly?
Sign up with
the county.
Well, okay, so here's a question.
Hey, if you're going to invest in our county, you got to have the wherewithal to pay the taxes.
Well, here's a question for you.
Hey, come on, that's not a bad idea.
I agree, but let's go back to the fact that 99% of these back taxes are individuals, and they will either pay or their little properties will get foreclosed on.
All right, so let's memorialize this list. Let's start tracking it.
And the people.
Do you get the Metro News?
Yeah, the entities who tend to owe huge amounts of money.
I got to get the Metro News.
Private individuals. They tend to be LLCs. Like here's one: Flywheel Fairlawn Owner LLC, $56,215.
Flywheel.
Guess what that is?
What?
That's the old Holodome that, as we speak, is being demolished.
So,
and I'm not sure who it is. I'm not sure who it is that's demoing that property.
So let's go to Wheatfield for a second, which I love that development. And the poor guy, it proved to me that even the guy
29th and Farrell.
Yeah, the guy that developed that doesn't completely control the world, because if he did, he would have got that KDOT access. Imagine being able to leave the movie theater and hop on I-470. That would take traffic off of.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get that approved. And that's a shame. There's a way.
Who needed to approve that?
KDOT.
Okay. Because they don't. Okay. I was thinking of the movie theater over in Lawrence over there by K10.
Have you been in that B&B theater?
It is. It's a nice place.
There's not a better movie theater I've ever been in.
I went over there to see The Fall Guy.
Bianca and I saw
good picture.
The Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Who is The Fall Guy?
That was, I think, Ryan Reynolds.
What's it about?
Well, it's about a guy who's a stunt man.
Oh.
And the plot gets pretty convoluted, but
anyway, I've been your stunt man in the economic development world over the last several years.
He's the fall guy.
Yeah, I am the fall guy. And not a liberal, very conservative, unvaccinated, and unapologetic about it.
Somebody just accused you, though, of being a liberal on your Facebook page.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to go meet that guy.
Of all the people to accuse of being liberal.
Well, our friend Carol asked me, what is a conservative today? And I said, well, it's kind of the farmer mentality.
I have a good working definition of a conservative, but
Well, let's hear it. What are you going to pick on me, or
well,
I think it's
my
it's like
working
a
definition,
farmer.
going back to the Barry Goldwater era, and I know not everybody is on board with everything that Barry Goldwater said, but basically, when it came to things like reproductive freedom, gays in the military, et cetera, Barry would say things like, "Well, I don't care if he is straight as long as he can shoot straight," or
Well, is that a bad? That's not a bad attitude.
I'm talking like, okay, a conservative is somebody that realizes a lot of this crap is basically nobody's business, and it's certainly not the government's business to get involved in healthcare decisions between a woman and her doctor. And a further definition of conservative would be limiting the involvement of government in people's basic everyday lives.
So Kansans for Life
Right.
endorsed me, and you know what the last thing I said
What?
to him? I go, well, men should stay out of this issue.
Yeah. How did that go over?
Well, I still got their endorsement.
Well, good. And that endorsement, well, okay, so that carries forward into the general election where you'll be running against,
Well, I haven't changed my views.
you'll be running against Kevin
And
Cook.
also, let's make a deal here with the people that look at my Facebook. If I post something up there just as an idea, it's not policy.
Yeah. So
I'm just a guy. I'm a street guy.
So this makes you a liberal,
What?
according to the guy who hammered you on Facebook.
No, I got hammered over the landlord issues.
Okay.
But now what will
Well,
be?
now, doesn't Lawrence, let's.
Well,
Doesn't Lawrence require?
Johnson County, in my research department, I do. I actually have a research department.
Me?
No,
I do my own research.
but I have somebody help me so I can keep on the move.
I get the, I get the Metro News in the mail.
So,
That's
and
my
I'm going to
research.
sign up for that. I
You
got to
should.
get that.
It's a good newspaper. They actually have, not that we're here to talk about the Metro News necessarily, but look at this. See, they have rural economy declines for region, including Kansas. Will the Fed cut rates in September?
Peggy.
They have a lot of in-depth articles in the Metro News.
I like the writer Peggy that she now lives in Emporia.
It's a good paper. Plus, they run the foreclosure notices and they run the delinquent property notices.
It's the designated paper for legal notices.
Yeah, most of the time. Now, I've noticed some legal notices in the Topeka paper lately pertaining to drug seizures on the turnpike, which we're not even here to talk about that. But if you want to continue,
Because I know that wasn't your shipment.
yeah, well, yeah, some guy got 15 pounds of cocaine seized. That's a lot of coke.
You can only have your garage so
That-
clean.
I mean that yeah. So this is still the political segment.
Yeah.
Of the Topeka Factor.
Okay,
And
so
you're running for county commissioner.
I'm going to run against Kevin Cook.
Against Kevin Cook. So what are your chances, and what are your tactics?
Well, I think the best thing for me is just to go door to door. I relate more to the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Because of my experience in the mall business, but I definitely want to go door to door and meet people. So I'll go out to that guy's house, shake hands with him. I have a hat that I will wear that I think he might consider that conservative.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I know which hat to wear.
Yeah. It starts with M.
No, Trump.
That's what I mean. A MAGA hat.
Oh, no. And I like blue better than red.
Yeah.
So I buy blue stuff. My cards are blue.
Well,
How do we
speaking of hats, the next time we do this next week, hopefully by then, my hat will have arrived, which is a White Dudes for Harris hat.
Okay. And you know something? I don't hate you for that.
Me and Jeff Bridges, we're dudes, we're white.
White dudes.
We're for Harris. But we don't need to be polarized about this either.
No, we don't.
That's the
And
thing.
that brings up an interesting race,
Re-
Tyler
regarding
Weibel
Tyler
and Patrick
Weibel.
Schmidt.
Right. Yeah, we had Patrick Schmidt on the. Well, we had both of them on the
Yeah, in
program.
fact, we got to get Tyler back in because we had audio trouble.
We should.
Yeah. And I think we ought to get them both in here. And I did talk to them both yesterday
Okay.
about doing something live together.
You talked to Patrick.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. And he'll
Yeah, he's going to chew on it. He did want to huddle up with you. For some reason, he thinks you know something.
well, that's testimony to his good judgment, I guess.
So no, but wouldn't that be cool?
It would be.
Yeah, so let's put together. And what I really like about it, I really like Joan Wagnon's approach about young people taking
Right.
over.
Right.
And so when I think about myself being in politics, I'm like the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've spent the majority of my life uh, in the private sector. I mean, all of it, really. I've never had I was appointed to the Metropolitan Planning Commission. I was on the Board of Zoning Appeals. But, my whole life is basically fighting government to try to get deals done and get equal treatment. But from another standpoint, especially after May 2nd, 2015, I feel like a kid again. And so I look at myself as just like Tyler. I'm the new kid on the block in politics. Kevin Cook sat there this would be his fourth term.
Fourth.
Yeah, and what has he really done?
See, now
He made you wear masks. He locked you down. He takes credit for building the Expo Center, now Stormont Vale. I think what we have to do, we have to come together and determine what does Topeka really want to be. And if we just, number one, treated it like a tourist town, had good streets. It's kind of a new
By
ringtone.
the way, this is Facebook Live.
Okay.
We're in the Glass House studio.
If we treated
And we're
Topeka,
talking politics with Henry McClure, who is running for the county commission.
if we treated Topeka like a tourist town and we made it just nice for us to live here, if we collected the taxes that we owed, why should we let guys that owe all this real estate taxes and keep developing? Hey, get current.
It's one thing, like say if a home builder who's building new houses, I've seen this happen. It's one thing for an individual building a house in a new subdivision where there's burdensome special assessments. They get a little behind, but then they get their property sold and the taxes get paid.
But you can't play the rich guy card and get Wheatfield.
They're not intentionally not paying their taxes, whereas obviously these LLCs that we see that are in six figures, and one case as high as $300,000, you can't tell me those people operating that medical clinic out there off of 17th Street aren't making enough money to pay their property taxes. If they're not making enough money to pay their property taxes, well, maybe they're in the wrong business.
Well, and let's say Lawrence Bay. Let's say it was a mistake. Let's say that we really should redo how we do benefit districts.
Maybe you replat the whole damn thing.
Maybe you actually do a bond. Maybe you do a bond to redo the whole benefit district, an industrial revenue bond. You foreclose on all the properties. You sell them at market today. Everybody just turns over their real estate. We list them. The county would run this sale, and every real estate person can bring in the best deal we can get on an open listing.
Oops.
And then the money that we get, we go to pay off the back specials and the taxes, and then redo the bond. But we shouldn't be paying for. We shouldn't have lots out there that owed money. Fix that dam. There shouldn't have been there. It's an uneven playing field. It's wrong.
By the way, I've noticed, and I didn't bring the list with me, but the county just published a list of all the properties that will be up for auction this year in the annual tax sale. And there are many, many, many lots at Lawrence Bay
Well,
that
yeah.
are coming up for sale.
So, and the guy that owns them now, it's not his fault. It wasn't his project,
Right.
so, but also too, Chuck Doltmeyer made deals with other landowners out there and developed on lots that are in the exact situation as another
Mhm.
fella.
Yeah.
And those two couldn't come together. Well, so you can't not take a lot back because, well, it's not worth it to take it back. No, there's a policy. And here's the policy. It doesn't matter who owns it, and you just move on. But if they're not sellable because of all the specials, well, that's the sign is that we've got to redo how we do.
Mhm.
We got to determine what is economic development and how do we do benefit districts and housing districts differently. But look, you just can't keep doing the same thing. Oh man, that's Brett Blackburn. I wish I could figure out how to get him live.
Well, maybe we could take a little break here and bring him into the next discussion, which is real estate.
All right.
How about we do that?
Yes, sir.
On Facebook Live.
You're on the. I'm in with Marshall White Hat Barber. We're on the Topeka Factor Live. We were just thanking you earlier for your running for election. So, do you want to? Is this a private call, or do you want to?
No, yeah, I'm coming back from a funeral, and I just want to know what I need to get that sign down on Gage. I mean, on Fairlawn.
On Fairlawn.
Yeah, the big one on.
Oh, I forgot about it. I'll go do it after the show.
Okay, I got to go print out some flyers at the office.
What about? Are you going to send me that text?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it tonight. It's on the computer at home.
All right, I'll get that done after the Topeka Factor.
All right, see you.
All right, brother.
Part 2 of the Topeka Factor will be coming up directly, and our focus is going to be on real estate. And we have one textbook case of why you shouldn't buy property without some kind of oversight. As a real estate agent, I can say without a realtor, but
Yeah.
I'm not log rolling here.
So, hey, and think about something for Patrick and and Tyler.
Right.
Like how do those two guys become friends over it?
That's a race. Your race and that race are probably about, I want to say, who's Brenda Dietrich running against for the Senate? There aren't going to be very many contentious races this fall and locally. In other words, there's your race, and then it'll be now. Of course, Tyler Weibel, frankly, is fighting a real uphill battle.
Wow, and a lot of money, and a good guy.
Because
the only real disagreement is Medicaid expansion.
Sure, that district is heavily Democratic, and then of course we have our friend Nancy Boyda, who is also fighting an uphill battle in the second district because of the gerrymandering, which incongruously and inexplicably was approved by the Kansas Supreme Court when they totally screwed the people who live in Lawrence, as well as the people who live in Topeka, as well as the people who live in Kansas City, Kansas.
If there was no such thing as party politics, life would be better.
Yeah, that's what the founding fathers said.
Yeah, well, they were right. I mean, think about it. Nancy would make a great candidate and represent Kansas well, but Republicans won't vote for her because they don't want her to go back. They can't count on her to, are you going to be an independent person and vote your conscience, or are you going to vote the party line?
So she leaves. Well, she would answer that question, I think, since she's been here before, that she's not afraid to alienate
she's not
fellow
afraid.
Democrats.
I know. I like that.
I don't see Nancy joining the squad, if she
that one girl got all. Did you hear her rant?
Thank God. Yeah, Cori Bush is gone.
The little St. Louis girl?
Yeah, the St. Louis Satan is out. I mean, I shouldn't be that way, but,
No, that's
but,
okay.
you know,
There is, I think it's good versus
she's one of
evil.
these people that came on and started talking about using all the phraseology, referring to America as what was that, the great Satan. I mean, her
Why
rhetoric,
doesn't she leave?
her rhetoric is straight out of Iran, straight out of Hezbollah, straight out of Hamas. And so, you're saying, talking like that you're representing St. Louis. I don't. That's why she lost.
Do you know the candidate that beat her?
I know very little about the candidate that beat her, except wasn't he a county prosecutor?
I don't know, but we got to start reaching out and getting some call-in people.
Yeah. His name, well, they tried to badmouth that guy for this or that, but basically, when you run as a incumbent, when you run on the kind of issues that she ran on, you're setting yourself up to lose. And the other squad person, that guy in New York, what was his name? He lost too.
There's a man on the squad.
Yeah,
He was there for devious
I'll,
reasons.
I'll think of his name later, but he lost to a moderate pro-Israel candidate in the primary. And
So
of course, now they're all demonizing AIPAC. And every time I hear one of those people open their mouths about AIPAC, I write another check for $50 to AIPAC. That's my response.
well,
That's a little bit, because I realize there aren't that many people in this market area who are wrapped up like I am in that. But when I vote at the Temple Beth Shalom, there's a big monument right outside to a guy named Abraham Skronopsky, whose family migrated to the United States in the early 20th century. And it's this sculpture of plows. And it has the quotation from the book of Isaiah talking about hammering swords into plowshares. And this is just
I like that.
you should go look at it sometime. It's right
Well, I
out,
used to go there when St. David's burned.
it's right outside Temple Beth Shalom, and it's easy to walk right by it and go, interesting sculpture. But the last time I voted before this time, I decided I'd take a look, and there's a nice plaque out in front explaining the monument.
Did you
And
really like voting the day of it? Where's
yeah,
where does that come from?
well, where it comes from is just the way I've always done it, and I feel like voting is something that if you don't want to make the effort to go vote somewhere, then maybe you're not necessarily fully invested in the process. But that's just me. I'm not saying that this should apply to everybody. I'm not against
All right. Well, we
mail-in
both
voting.
voted, so we can complain.
Right.
All right. So we're gonna
We can kvetch.
wind this segment down, and we're gonna go on a real estate segment, and it's Henry McClure live in the Glass Houses studio with my dear friend Marshall Barber.
Stand by.
All right. Hey, and if nobody's told you they love you today, I love you.
No, I love you more.
Maybe so. It's okay.